What's up, beautiful babies? Week two. This is our week two matchups and predictions. I already threw the rankings and or I should say the picks for the week. Um, since I wasn't quite sure when I was going to be able to get this video done, man, kids, man, you let's get straight to it. First matchup, we've got Jason versus myself, and guess who we picked? We picked me. I kind of cheated here. There's a lot of matchups here where the projections are just all over the place. Jason's only projected to win by less than a point. However, he is the favorite. I don't make the rules. I do, but I don't. So Jason's the favorite. I'm picking myself to beat him. Jason's got Caleb Williams versus the Texans. Caleb Williams threw for was it 98 yards, Jason? Um, Jameer Gibbs versus the Bucks. James Cook tonight versus the Dolphins. Drake London versus the Eagles. Chris Godwin versus the Lions. Finally got him in the lineup. That's nice. Zach Ertz. Y'all remember Zach Ertz? If you guys have been playing fantasy football for 10 years, you might have won a title with him. Like, you know, 10 years ago. Bijan Robinson in the flex playing the Eagles. Uh, Chiefs D. I guess we can mention that. On my side, we got Kyler Murray versus the Rams. Jerome Ford versus the Jaguars. Devon A. He's playing, baby, tonight versus the Bills. Jalen Waddle, also tonight versus the Bills. Cooper Kupp versus the Cardinals. Dalton Kincaid tonight versus the Dolphins. So we've got four players tonight. So, uh, I mean, if tonight is make it or break it for me. Flexing Garrett Wilson and then Colts D since Malik Willis is gonna be that quarterback. I like my matchups, and that's why I'm going with me. And I'm the upset of the week, baby. Next matchup, we got Fat versus Jason. I'm sorry, Fat versus Dan. And this is what kind of mean maybe. Fat's projected to win 144 to 119. Projections, but let's take a look at it. Fat's got Joe Burrow versus Chiefs, Brees Hall versus Tennessee, Ramondre Stevenson versus Seattle, Michael Pittman Jr. versus the Packers, Devontae Adams versus Baltimore, Mark Andrews versus the Raiders, Jordan Mason in the flex versus Minnesota and the Steelers D. Dan's got Dak Prescott versus New Orleans, J.K. Dobbins versus the Panthers, Javonte Williams versus the Steelers, CeeDee Lamb versus New Orleans, Rashee Rice versus the Bengals, Evan Ingram versus Cleveland, Devonta Smith at Atlanta, and nothing in defense. We'll assume he'll pick something up there, a couple points. Dan had a bit of a rough week last week. Fat had one of the higher scores and has one of the higher projections. So for Dan, he's gonna have to show me one. He's gonna have to show me one or be in a nice matchup. I guess right now I'm gonna lean with Fat over Dan on this one. On the next matchup, we got Marshall versus Scott. Both teams here are 1-0. Actually, that's the first matchup where both teams are 1-0. The first two matchups, only Fat had a W. So way to go. Marshall's projected to win 137 to 108. Marshall's got Jared Goff versus Tampa Bay. Saquon Barkley versus was that the Falcons. Kyron Williams versus the Cardinals. Nico Collins is questionable versus the Bears. Zay Flowers versus the Raiders. Kyle Pitts versus Philly. Devin Singletary versus the Commanders. And Seahawks defense. On Scott's side, we see some red over here. Patrick Mahomes versus the Bengals. McCaffrey, questionable versus the Vikings. From everything they're saying, they're talking like he's not going to be playing. We'll see. Josh Jacobs is also questionable versus the Colts. Stephon Diggs versus the Bears. Brandon Ayuk versus the Vikings. George Kittle versus the Vikings. Lad McConkey versus the Panthers. And then Jets defense versus the Titans. Will Levis. Did y'all see that play? That's going to be shown all year. It's great. I'm rolling with Marshall. He's kicked my butt. He's got a pretty good squad, and he's got less red on his side. So I'm actually making him my lock of the week, and it's not because he was the first person to respond to the chat. It's because he's got a solid team and a great matchup from what we can see. So good job, Marshall. We're gonna get our first lock of the week on week two. Uh, Next matchup, we got JT versus Jordan. JT is projected to win 135 to 128. Pretty close considering the matchups I've seen. I think the only other matchup closer was myself and Jason. JT's got Jalen Hurts versus the Falcons, Joe Mixon versus the Bears, Brian Robinson Jr. versus the Giants, AJ Brown versus Atlanta, George Pickens at Denver, Travis Kelsey Cincinnati, Tony Pollard Jets, and Cowboys defense. On Jordan's side, CJ Stroud versus the Bears, Isaiah Pacheco versus the Bengals, Rashad White at Detroit, Amon-Ra St. Brown versus the Bucks, DJ Moore at Houston, Jake Ferguson questionable versus New Orleans, Aaron Jones versus the Niners, and Dolphins defense tonight. Risque, risque. Going JT. Guy put up 170 points or something crazy week one. So, you know, we're going to roll with him. Next matchup, Brent over Trent. Battle of the Rents. Last time these men met, someone lost their name for a whole season. I didn't see that bet go out, but just saying if you guys want to do it, that'd be cool. Brent's favored to win 138 to 120. Spoiler alert, I'm picking Brent. He's got Lamar Jackson versus the Raiders, Alvin Kamara at Dallas, Najee Harris at Denver, Tyreek Hill tonight versus the Bills, Debo Samuel at the Vikings, Brock Bowers at Baltimore, Zamir White at Baltimore, Ravens at Raiders. Lot of Vegas, Baltimore. Trent, he's got Josh Allen tonight versus the Dolphins. DeAndre Swift at Houston. Jalen Warren at Denver. We got Justin Jefferson versus the Niners. Chris Olave at Dallas. Trey McBride versus the Rams. Deontay Johnson versus the Chargers. And Jaguars D facing off against Cleveland and you know, you know who. He who must not be named. I said I was going with Brent. I'm going with Brent. Last matchup of the week. Alex versus Frank. I'm going to get better about, saying what people's records are as we move on. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But Alex is 1-0 playing Frank, who's 0-1. Alex is favored to win 137 to 133. Alex has, oh, wow, look at that. He's already benched Anthony Richardson after 1 week. Jaden Daniels versus the Giants. Jonathan Taylor versus the Packers. Derrick Henry versus the Raiders. Mike Evans at Detroit. Xavier Worthy versus Cincinnati. Sam Laporta versus the Bucks. David Montgomery versus the Bucks. And the Chargers D at Carolina. Notably, Anthony Richardson on the bench. Frank's side, he's got Matt Stafford at the Cardinals. He's got Travis Etienne versus Cleveland. He's got Ken Walker at the Patriots. He's questionable. Jamar Chase at the Chiefs. Tank Dell versus the Bears. Dalton Schultz questionable versus the Bears. James Conner versus the Rams. And he's rolling with that Niners D. Frank's got kind of a situation where he's got some red there too. So Jamar Chase doesn't look like he's fully integrated right now. Travis Etienne kind of had some weird running back splits, so it's hard to go with the team right now. Well, it's a long season; it's only week 2, but for now we're gonna roll with Alex on that one. So those are the picks for this week. If you guys didn't check out the weekly awards, go check out the weekly awards. RGM could be smoking crack in an alley, okay, but he's not, okay. He's smoking it at his house, and then he's writing this paragraph. Okay, go watch it with your eyes, because that's the only way you can watch it. Go give it a reaction. There you go. I just gave you an emoji. All right. Do we need to hear the rankings again? Will that make you guys feel better? We'll do the rankings, and then I'm out of here, guys. I gotta go see how many points HN has. 12 Frank, 11 Dan, 10 Jordan, 9 Brent, 8 Marshall, 7 Trent, 6 Fat, 5 Scott, 4 Lando, 3 Jason, 2 Alex, 1 Tizzle, man. JT. Love you guys. Let's have a great week. Madden curse.